Yeah, I think I got it.
Oh, your
I'm
audio's
here.
coming through now, Denise.
Oh, wait a minute. I can hear you really good. What was that?
Your audio finally started to come through.
Oh, okay, good. That's what I was trying to fix. I got to get a little bit where there's some light here. Is that a little better? We're a little dark here tonight.
Well, you got to ask Jason for professional lighting, you know.
I know. I know. I did. I asked him, Jay, turn on a light. Try that light.
Let's do this light.
Yeah, try some lights.
Yeah, turn this. Where's the remote? There it is.
Oh, that's a little better.
Is that a little better?
Oh God, yes. That's much better. You could turn that one off probably. Didn't do nothing or anything. I have to get comfortable. Okay. Do you need some paperwork? Okay. Did you read the one about the watershed? So, see, I don't know if you got to that one. Okay. What was that?
They're not opposed.
No, the watershed, no.
But we are looking at the concern expressed by the non-waste area.
Well, see, that's where my concern is. Yeah,
CPHE.
yeah, I have that concern too.
That's what I worry about also.
Well, here's the actual, if you could see on this survey. Did you see this one? I don't think you saw that one. I think you saw the colored survey.
How you doing, Kent?
Okay, I'm a little rough tonight, so Martin's going to be the one talking most of the time, so,
Okay.
because I went home midday, but,
You feeling okay or just run down?
just, no, not really,
Oh.
but
Okay.
we'll make it through. It's just one
Okay.
of those things.
Here it is.
This back.
There is no water now. I took everything out of water. I have no water. See, this is, here's the one I'm concerned about right here.
It's all three of these. It's going to have 15 and then 16%. So it's not much difference. There's going to be a lot of runoff coming from here because all of that runs into that. So he's going to have to build that road up and
Well,
then make sure that there's proper drainage coming off the hill here to keep off those lots and correspond
There's
with what we
nothing
have.
here.
Well, to correspond with what we have laid out for drainage in the city on the city lines and the different routes for that. Now, you know, I mean, if he does it right, then yeah.
I'm sure he will. Right?
Everybody profits.
That's true. See, my thought was not this one and then just going about 300 feet over.
All we're doing is saying yes or no.
I know, but I'm just telling you what
What does that say, Alaska?
Alaska. I don't know what that is. Maybe that's the name of the mountain. I don't know. Alaska Mills, Nancy Smith. I have no idea what that is.
Okay.
Crows. Maybe it's
Walker
parcels. Of,
parcels
yeah, the mountain. Parcels of the mountain.
could be they're all road cuts.
Mhm.
Just-
Hey, Jennifer, can you email me the packet? If you're there.
Doesn't matter.
Yeah, let me try.
Oh, it
That's all
is.
I have.
Okay. Hmm, hmm. Where's the agenda? That's the part I want to find out. There it is. It's right there. Hold on. So it's this,
Didn't you ever hand me that?
this one,
No, the one from the,
watershed?
Yeah.
About the watershed?
this is what I should bring up.
You're right here, you can. That's what I'm worried about.
Okay.
I have the same concern.
I'd like to see what that study, if there's a study, they get, well, they're gonna have to do a study because that's the next process.
Well, what they do, a soil thing?
Yeah, well, that's all part of another
Oh, okay.
aspect.
So I know they have to take care of the soil too.
Yeah, that's all part of another aspect.
Hmm.
Well, no, it's gonna cut right here.
I know.
That's what we're talking about.
I know. I see that right there. I know. That's literally, they're striped lines. Okay. Oh, only 27.
27.
Yeah, 27 miles an hour wind. That's all. Won't feel like a freight train going through the house.
Say,
Okay.
Hey, what's up, Kent?
Hey, Dwayne.
How are you?
Oh, okay, but not okay. Oh, I won't do much talking tonight, so.
Gotcha. You look as tired as I feel.
You getting that house close to done now, or?
Yeah, frame inspection was yesterday. They're insulating today. Insulation inspection tomorrow. They're stocking it tomorrow, and then we're on the drywall. And then one more month, and my mind will be free a little bit again.
Sure.
Like all the other projects that we got going on.
Well, it looks nice. It looks like a very nice house at that corner, so.
Yeah, everybody loves it. So The bump out and the dormer definitely turned out better than I expected. That was partially DRC looking for something a little bit more, and
Sure.
it looks awesome.
Well, and the color of that wood right now looks different than a lot of other houses. So,
Yeah, I sealed that thing up, so it could change a little bit, but the other one that was similar, we let it go for a few years, so it gave it a little bit of a different look. I kind of jumped on that right away to keep it that look.
sure.
I still got a few little things on the outside, the beams in the back, but material is still hard to get. You never know what you can get and when you can get it. So we got lucky. If I wouldn't have got my cedar from Bruce Rutherford, I would have had to go back to you guys and request doing Hardy. But that worked out good, and I got a heck of a deal. So
Good.
so guys,
Hello, how
How
are
you
you,
doing?
Dwayne?
awesome.
Good.
Should be a good meeting tonight.
I think so.
Be curious to how many people attend, have something to say.
I know, right? I thought it
And
was
this-
mandatory. Isn't that what Kent said last time? This is a mandatory, important meeting.
Oh, heck yeah. People want to get stuff done, and we stand in the way of that.
I know we do, slightly, just a little.
It's power, right?
Yeah, I know. Isn't it great sometimes?
Yeah, I had that talk with my inspector yesterday. It was a young kid. He's kind of new, and he's like, yeah, some of the other inspectors, it's all about power. Like,
Yeah.
he's like, that doesn't make people happy.
No, not really. You don't make too many friends.
No, it's important for everybody to work together.
That's true. So true. We're a team.
Yes, a
There we
good
go.
team. Yeah, it's just strange doing it like this. I like it more when we're all in the same
yeah.
room with everybody. You can
I agree.
feels too much like social media. Everybody hides behind a screen to
Yep.
say what they would never say in
That's
face to
true.
face.
That's so true. That's the agenda.
This is Jen. I would just like to ask if the Kathy that I just promoted to panelist is Kathy Haft. If you could please let me know which Kathy that is. Can the Kathy respond what your last name is that is in the meeting, please? Okay, I don't know if that's Kathy Haft or not, so I'm gonna put her back as an attendee.
Are you
Hi,
Ed?
Ed.
Hi, Ed.
Hi,
How you doing?
okay.
Good.
Great, what are you doing here?
I don't know. What are you doing here?
Good,
How are you, Ed?
good.
Good to see you.
I've been watching you build that place over there.
Yeah, someday I'll be done.
Yeah.
This tells me about that, but it tells me about that, but it's not. So it's still need to be assessed for sure. Very last thing,
Mhm.
for sure.
Are you Kathleen?
There she is.
Support that.
How are you, Marv?
Howdy, good evening.
Okay.
Hey, Kent, is Ann going to be here, or are we good to start?
I haven't heard if she wasn't going to be here, but we have a quorum, so we can go ahead and start.
All right, awesome. Time 6 o'clock, November 18th, 2020. Let's call this meeting to order.
So,
You want me to do the roll call,
I
Jen?
don't know.
Sure, go ahead.
All of this right.
Ed Hoover,
Here.
Kathleen Heft, Kathleen. I think I see her mouth moving. Jason Newton,
Yes, here.
Denise Newton,
Here,
I think Kathleen, I'm not seeing her speaker on.
maybe she can do a thumbs up.
Yeah, oh, thumbs down.
That's true.
Are we good to move forward, Kent? All right.
To approve.
Sorry, what's that?
Do we have any audience? Don't we have to talk about if there's an audience present? Do we have anybody else?
Yeah, that's what I was.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, do
Oh,
we
we
have
do.
any audience? We have Craig and Marv, which are both
Okay.
here for the subdivision.
Okay.
So let's move to the new business, the Washington Mill Site Subdivision Conceptual Plan.
Can we approve the agenda for tonight?
Oh, yeah, sorry, we need to do that.
That's okay.
Motion to
That's okay.
approve that. I'll miss stuff if you don't keep up with me.
It's okay.
Motion to approve the agenda.
Approved.
Can I get a motion?
To approve.
Second,
Second.
all in favor, say aye.
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 All right, now we can do the audience business. We're past that. Now on to the new business, the Washington Mill Site Subdivision Conceptual Plan.
Right.
And Martin is here somewhere.
Yeah, I'm trying to promote him, but it's not allowing me to. So
Oh,
not sure
okay.
what to do about that. Normally, it lets me promote the attendees to panelists, but this time it won't. I don't know.
Yeah, it's not letting me do anything either, Jennifer. I thought you'd,
He's
now
muted,
it's
it
showing
looks
on the
like.
screen.
Okay.
Can you hear me now?
Maybe he,
Yes.
Okay, good. Good. Yeah, I had trouble getting into this. I have to use the phone. The information on the Zoom said it was invalid or something to that effect. So anyway, I'm calling in via telephone.
An old technology, but a good one.
Yes.
Well, Martin, you can go ahead and introduce.
Is Craig Abrahamson on the call? I don't see him on the screen.
He is.
Thank you.
Okay. Just give me a minute here and I will pull up the information. All right. Well, all of you in your packet should have a staff report along with several attachments. Those attachments include the conceptual subdivision plan application for the Washington Mill site, the Design Review Commission's advisory matter, which is essentially their recommendation, as well as 3 referrals, one from the Colorado Geologic Survey, one from Xcel Energy, and then a third one, which you probably received separately, and that is from the Colorado Department of Health. There's also yes, go ahead.
We also have one from the Upper Clear Creek watershed.
Oh, that's correct, right. Yep, there's another one that came in as well. And then we also have a letter from a neighboring resident as well. So that's the information you should have in your packet of materials that you have in front of you tonight. I'll give you a brief overview of the application and then turn it back over to the chair. As mentioned, this is a conceptual subdivision plan for Washington Mill site. This is a property that's approximately 1.1 acres in size, located in the 900 block of Main and Biddle Street. This property is a former mill site. It's currently vacant, undeveloped, has no structures. It is a proposal to subdivide this parcel into 6 lots, and 3 of these lots would front Main Street, 2 would front Biddle, and 1 would front both Biddle and Main. The designation on the comprehensive plan for this is consistent with the application. It is designated as town residential, which provides for housing of a variety of different types and density. There's also the zoning on the site. This site is zoned historic residential, which is also consistent with the land use plan map designation as town residential. All the proposed lots, as identified by the applicant, will meet the minimum dimensional area requirements established for the historic residential zoning district. The surrounding zoning on all sides is historic residential as well. This application is essentially the first of a 3-stage major subdivision review process. There's the conceptual subdivision plan, which, if approved, would be followed by a preliminary subdivision plat application. And then following the preliminary subdivision plat, there would be a final subdivision plat that would be established for recording of this subdivision. Staff has reviewed this application and has several comments. First of all, we reviewed the locations of the connections with the current water and sewer system, and we support the extensions to the mains that have been identified to serve the property. There's some more detail in here regarding that. We would need to have easements to provide sewer service lines from the new sewer main on Biddle Street. The Colorado Geologic Survey, along with Department of Health, has also identified some issues associated with the mine and mill waste on the site, and specifically with proposed Lot 8. Colorado Geologic Survey has also indicated that the site is located on a debris fan and typically would discourage that type of development on debris fans. Staff does support both the CGS request and the Department of Health request that the applicant evaluate the engineering and environmental properties of the mill site waste on Lot 8 and take the necessary measures to address that issue. We've also identified a number of items that we need some more information on the site plan, and that information, having talked to the applicant, is forthcoming in the preliminary plat application. So with that, just in terms of recommendations, the Design Review Commission met on October 8th, and they are recommending that the Planning Commission approve the plan. Town staff is recommending that any Planning Commission approval be conditioned on resolution of the town staff comments and the concerns raised by CGS as well as Department of Health. So with that, I'll stop and open it up to any questions that you might have of staff at this point in time.
I have a question, I guess, about how one progresses on this. Since there are a number of comments by the Geological Society, it seems to me, I'm curious how those get resolved within the process. Do they get resolved before the process proceeds, or is it conditional as a piece of the process? And also, there are a couple of places in here where it says that there's no significant impact with cut and fill. It sure looks to me like there would be, at least on lot 8, if not on the other 2 that are on Biddle Street.
Okay, well, in terms of your second question, I'll leave that to the applicant to address.
Okay.
Regarding your first question, the conceptual subdivision plan is the first step in this subdivision process. And typically we do find issues that come up during conceptual that may need to be further explored and addressed in additional stages of the project. And the preliminary plat application is the time to do that because we require more information to be submitted as a part of that particular document. But the commission has several options. I mean, you can decide to move forward with approving this without any conditions. You can approve it with any conditions that you believe are appropriate, as well as you can disapprove the application or even table it until more information is submitted. So there are several options.
I saw that. I'm sorry. I saw that. My only question was, does that have to be a part of the next level application before the next level is approved?
Any conditions that you were to put on this would be a part of the next step in the process. So yes, it would require that any of the conditions that you put on this application, if you chose to approve it, would have to be addressed at the time of the submittal of the preliminary plat application.
Okay. Well, I looked at this whole thing, and in general, I would say I'm in favor of it, but I am very concerned about access from Biddle and how one gets onto the sites, onto the Biddle Street sites, and whether some of that, if some of that fan is removed, how I'm assuming at some point we would have to see the plan for the change of the slopes on those parcels.
Yes, that type of detail would be included with any construction documents that we've submitted associated with this development per the town's construction standards.
Okay, so I'm trying to not ask you to do more than you need to do at any given stage so that you don't progress beyond where you might quit otherwise if a certain thing was not addressed.
Yeah, I should mention, I probably should allow the applicant to present his application. As the town planner, I am only to introduce this item and give you an overview of the staff report at this point in time.
Okay. So again, my only question is we go to the plat next, but you wouldn't go to your construction drawings until after you had that platted. So my question just applies to what you do for the next stage of this initial process.
Right.
Not making any sense whatsoever.
Yeah, there's a lot more information that's required at the preliminary plat stage than there is the conceptual plan stage.
Okay,
And one of the conditions that we have is that the plan at the preliminary plat level, that everything be done in accordance with the town's adopted construction standards.
okay,
So those types of issues, such as cut and fill and grading and all that other thing, all the other construction type of items would need to be addressed, or it would not be possible to develop the site unless they are in accordance with those standards.
okay. Thank you.
Shall I begin?
I guess.
Sorry, let's say Craig. Go ahead.
Okay. Unless directed otherwise, my name is Craig Abrahamson. I represent Marv and Dee Geisnes, who are the owners of the subject property. Marv is also on the call, and I'll ask Marv to chime in on a few points as we proceed through our presentation, and I'm sure while we're answering questions as well.
Let me just add that I am a permanent resident of Georgetown, have been here for many years, we developed the Major Anderson mill site in the mid to late 90s, and we are trying to build something, develop something that is appropriate for Georgetown. We are permanent residents of the town. Craig?
Great, thanks, Marv. I'm going to share my screen here. Hopefully I shared the right one. Can everybody see kind of a aerial overlay here?
Yes.
Yes.
Take that as a yes. So the subject property, and there's some confusing numbers, and I apologize to Martin and everybody else. The Marv and Dee actually own the area is outlined in black or in blue here is the actual Washington Mills property, and that's the name of the property is Washington Mills. It's not Washington Mills site. It just kind of gets drawn into Washington Mill, and then it's also a site. But in addition to the Washington Mills here, lots 1 and 2 in this block are also owned, and you'll see by the Geisnes, and you'll see those on all of the maps. Just as a frame of reference, those are not part of this subdivision process. And so just a couple corrections on the numbers. The Washington Mills property actually encompasses just short of 41,000 square feet. So it's just shy of an acre. If you include lots 1 and 2 in that calculation, it's about 1.11 acres, which is a number that you've probably seen in your preliminary packet there. So I apologize for that oversight. Everybody probably knows where this is located. Here's 10th Street right here, which dead ends. This is Mark Reynolds' kind of storage area here. This is Main Street off on the left-hand side of the drawing. Biddle Street is on the right-hand side here. My house is right over here off screen. And 9th Street runs kind of along the bottom of the page right here. As you can see, the proposal is to subdivide the property into 6 single-family lots. Again, as Martin pointed out, they all meet the minimum area and dimensional requirements for the historic residential zoning district. And they've really been laid out with the intent to, kind of to Kathy's point, work with the land as opposed to work against the land. And I will show you a little bit of grading here in a minute to give you some kind of perspective as well. This proposed lot 6 is about 10,700 square feet. It would front both Main Street and Biddle. The intent would be for the home site to actually front Biddle Street. And all 3 of these proposed lots along Biddle would quite likely be walkout style architecture. Slightly smaller lots are these 3 along Main Street here in the 5,000 square foot range. They're a little bit different than a typical town lot in that they're more square than rectangular. If you look at lots 1 and 2 up here, they're very rectangular, kind of long and narrow. A little bit tough to do given the dimensional requirements for new lot creation in Georgetown, the subdivision regulations. But I think these all worked out very, very nicely. We'll get to more conversation about lot 8 here in a bit. But first I wanted to jump in and show you this. We've moved along from a document preparation perspective, kind of anticipating moving on to preliminary plat. And that is the stage at which you start to see the grading plan take shape. This is oriented differently, so I'll reorient everybody. Here's Biddle at the top, Main at the bottom, 10th on the left, and 9th on the right. From a utility perspective, there are none. There's an overhead power line that runs in front of the property that's accessible for providing electric service to the lots. There is no natural gas, water, or sewer, though, in Main Street between 9th and 10th. So as part of the project, we'll be installing an 8-inch sewer main running from about just really in front of proposed lot 6 there. For anybody knows, this is Draxie's house right here. There'll be an 8-inch sewer main that runs down. We'll be adding a manhole here because just because of the alignment of the existing sewer on 10th, where this manhole lines up, if we were running perfectly parallel with the street right of way, we'd end up digging up a bunch of people's yards because Main Street has a 50-foot right of way. Because at some point they thought it was going to be the main street. And so we're going to add a manhole here to kind of redirect. And we've been through all of this with Ryan, the water and wastewater superintendent, and then set another manhole up on this end for maintenance. So we're going to tie into 10th Street with the sewer. We're also going to tie in at 10th Street with the 6-inch water main, which here's the 6-inch existing 6-inch water main in 10th. We'll be tying in right about here. And then we'll also be looping that water main with the main that's on 9th Street to the south as well. So we have a good solid water system there. And then natural gas will be installed in accordance with the town's engineering standards adjacent to the water main. That will be done by Xcel Energy. And that will also tie in down here at 10th Street. Grading wise, you can see, again, generally speaking, this is a preliminary grading plan, but the attempt is to work with the land as opposed to against the land and create kind of a terraced approach, if you will, which is really kind of the natural state of the property to begin with. The dashed lines are the existing topography and the solid lines are the proposed topography. Each of these lines represents a 2-foot contour interval. So for every line you go up or down 2 feet as you move through the drawing. You can see that we've worked to direct our drainage from these upper 3 lots to drainage and utility easements that'll be adjacent to each of lots 3, 4, and 5 along Main Street here. This gives us access for water and sewer, electric, gas, and phone utility services, as well as an opportunity to properly drain those upper lots across and down to Main Street, where they currently all drain to anyway. Yeah, so I think that's a pretty good synopsis of that. It bears mentioning that the intent is not to sell these parcels off for individuals to take on their own projects with, but this would be a comprehensive project with the design guided specifically by Marvin D to represent their vision for the property. We'll zoom in a little bit here to lot 8 because everybody wants to talk about lot 8. So this is the CGS report, or letter, I should say, which talks about the apparent tailings on Lot 8. Those tailings exist generally in this area and then in this area as well. The intent would be to construct the residence on the south end of Lot 8. That would be the building site. We haven't gone out and done a bunch of measurements yet, but that would certainly include an area that has potentially been identified with those tailings. We have acted on the request from CGS with regard to soil sampling. Those soil samples were collected last week, and we expect to have the results in perspective from our environmental consultant by the end of this week, and certainly we'll be moving forward next week to begin formulating a plan to address any concerns that are identified in those sampling results as well, and then have those as part of our preliminary plat package for Planning Commission. What am I missing? Should I open it up for questions here, do you think, Martin, or is there something else I should address?
I think one other item to address would be the request by the Colorado Department of Health.
Yeah, so the Colorado Department of Public Health and Environment, I'm sure Martin's seen this form letter many, many times already as well. The entire county of Clear Creek is what's called the Clear Creek Central City Study Area under CERCLA, also known commonly as Superfund. So anytime a referral is sent in Clear Creek County for a land use project like this, the CDPHE, and they get them all, they send pretty much the same letter out. I appreciated that CGS actually came out and visited the site and identified their concerns very specifically. And the CDPHE letter really says the same thing in much more generic terms, in my opinion. So we feel like by addressing the CGS concerns, we'll also be addressing the CDPHE concerns as well. Any questions?
I have a question, slightly peripheral, but across the street on Main, down as if you were going down toward Griffith, there are some lots that are undeveloped that over the years I've been told by numerous people that they're really boggy. And I just want to make sure that as you bring your water down to Main Street, that you make sure that you don't add to the problem of those sites.
Absolutely. And thank you for bringing up those two parcels, because those parcels are will also benefit from the infrastructure improvements that are being proposed here as well. Those parcels sit right in here. And so at some point, someone may be able to take advantage of a reduced cost of providing utilities to that property. But yes, there is a currently Main Street has a fairly legitimate crown to it with the drainage directed off to the east and the west sides of Main Street, and we would obviously be impacting that with our access to those lots along Main Street, and that would all be addressed at a construction document level, where we were ensuring that we maintain proper drainage along that side of Main Street. So
okay,
I'll make a note of that though, Kathy. Thank you.
Greg, could you comment on the right-of-way for Biddle Street and how it adjusts to the edge of the surveyed properties?
So we haven't surveyed the right-of-way well, we surveyed the right of way for Biddle. We haven't surveyed Biddle as constructed at this point. That is a point that's been brought up by Martin as something that needs to be addressed in the preliminary plat component, and we intend to do that. Well, this, and I hope you can see my screen still. This is the only truly troublesome spot, is right here, kind of between proposed lot 7 and proposed lot 6. The toe of the slope
there, right?
The toe of the slope ekes out right here. You can see generally that most of the Biddle right of way is in a hillside. So that's an item that we'll address thoroughly in the preliminary plat stage. And I'm not sure what it's going to look like yet. I haven't had a conversation with Martin about it, and there's probably a conversation with Jerry as well at some point to determine if there's. I don't think it impacts necessarily the construction of the homes on those lots with the existing alignment, but we'll need to take a closer look at that and hopefully address that stuff in preliminary. This is always a little bit tricky with a multi-stage process. I find that there's always a desire to have more information as questions kind of come up for planning commission, for staff. And it's just the way the process is kind of laid out. It's a piecemeal approach, a little bit here, a little bit more at preliminary, and get, the bulk of the information really will come at preliminary. There's a lot of detail in that set of documents where this is obviously not quite so detailed.
Dwayne, I guess we could go to additional comments if the board planning commission members don't have additional comments at this time.
Does anybody have any additional comments?
Just to state that I'm sorry I'm late. I was stuck in my traffic, so I'm here now.
Yeah, welcome, man. Glad you can make it. All right, Kent, should we go on to the public hearing part? Are we ready for
I
that?
think so. I think there was a couple that Jennifer identified that wanted to say something, so.
Yeah. So it's meeting's open for them.
Okay, so I promoted Michael and he can speak now. You can go ahead, Michael.
Yes, I live on Main Street, 907, right across from Draxley. Of course, I have a very interesting interest in this. My first question is, why don't we see the consultant when these people are presented? Is that the way it works? You said there's a consultant. I don't see a picture of a consultant talking.
The consultant had to call in because his computer wasn't allowing him to join. Okay. He normally is visible, but tonight he's not.
Normally the consultant would be on the Zoom. I just was curious about that. The other question I have right now, lots, why are they called lots 1 and 2? Are those already planted for development by someone else or by the same parties? There's lots 1 and 2 there on the north corner of the, on the north end of the, actually beyond the
yeah, if I'm not mistaken, lots 1 and 2 are, they were divided, I guess, years back. That'd be a question for Marv. Is it okay, Kent, for him to comment on that?
Sure.
Yeah, those were already platted when we acquired the property in the 1990s. And my understanding that those may go back prior to the turn of the century, prior to 1900. If you look at historic photographs of the site, there was a two-story house that sat on lot 1, and on lot 2, part of that property was a horse barn. And all of the larger portion had either an L or a T-shaped large building on it. And it was used primarily for housing. And there was a mess hall, kitchen, whatever you want to call it, incorporated. We've had some digging in the back of that property on the south end of it, and just found a bunch of old steak bones thrown out the back door. But lots 1 and 2 have been there for eons.
Do you own lots 1 and 2, or does someone else
Yes.
own them?
No,
You own them.
I own lots 1 and 2 along with all of the other property.
Okay, that's why they're called lots 1 and, you called them lots 1 and 2. There's no plat that calls them lots 1.
No, they are lots 1 and 2. Now, I'm not calling them lots 1 and 2. They are platted. They're at the county. They are lots 1 and 2.
Okay. And you're trying to get the other lots numbered. There's 3, 4, 5, 6, 7.
That would be the subdivision process to number those lots. Yes.
Got it. So you can build on those lots at any time, or you could sell those lots and have buildings put on them.
Well, if the subdivision is approved, we would then have conforming lots to the Georgetown ordinances in the historic district. And if we chose, we could sell them. But our plan, our intent is not to sell individual lots. We want to sell finished product, houses that are compatible with each other and compatible with all the existing ordinances governing that district. And quite honestly, hopefully rather pleasing looking.
Well, so do I. So those lots will be developed too. That's part of your plan. And excuse me, there'll be houses put on lots 1 and 2. That's part of your plan, but they're not part of this design because you already own them and they're already planted.
What we're looking at here with planning is to subdivide everything with the exception of 1 and 2, which are already divided.
Right.
But realistically, there will only be one single family house that incorporates lots 1 and 2.
Okay,
I
you
do
answered my
not
question.
believe that 2 would support a house on its own.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Thanks, Marv. Any other questions?
This is Beth Montgomery. I just am listening in. We live at 902 Main Street, kind of diagonally from Craig and Dana, and I just wanted to listen in to hear what you all are talking about. And I just would like to say that I feel like for this stage of the planning, it sounds like kind of an exciting project, and I'm glad to have some utilities going in on Main Street, because I think, that's an issue for that whole end of the street. So I'm glad you guys are the ones who are thinking about it, Craig and Marvin. I think it seems like you've really thought about a lot of the important details, and are going to work with the health people and the geologic people to make sure everything's all set up. But anyway, I'm just saying, as a person who will be affected by it, I'm fine with the plan, and I like what you're talking about.
Thank you.
Thanks, that's good feedback. Anyone else have any comments? Jen, was there anybody else? I can't see anybody else other than.
No, there's not, Dwayne.
All right, perfect. So Kathleen, did you want to add anything to that?
No,
I'm sorry. As soon as I said that, somebody raised their hand. So let me promote Gary F.
All right.
Hello,
Go ahead, Gary.
can you hear me? I'm Gary Facelt. I live at
Gary, what's your last name?
Facelt. I live at 806 Biddle Street.
I didn't
And,
catch your last name. I'm sorry.
Facelt. FAS.
Selt?
Yes. I live at 806 Biddle. I just have a quick question on the legal description on the page 2 of that PDF. Craig, if you could share that again with us. It seems to be a truncated legal description, abbreviated, if you will. And I'm sure that'll be revised for when the plat is created. But
Yeah, I think I know what you're referring to. It is, we have an updated legal description from our surveyor. They've been, drafting the preliminary plat documents and have done the title work, and they have, we have an updated legal description since this submittal went in.
Okay.
It's much more comprehensive, and frankly, the legal description that they provided from the title work was what was used to develop this document here. So all of this was actually laid out meets and bounds based on the legal description provided by the surveyor through the title work done by the title company. So yes, that truncated legal description will become much more clear in the preliminary phase.
Okay. Because it seemed a little bit redundant to me. It mentions that 487 at page 664, those are the original 2 lots we were just talking about, lots 1 and 2.
Mm-hmm.
So it seems like that in the preliminary legal there, it was talking about a little extra area than what we're planning to subdivide.
All of that was originally described the same in the, how should I put this? In the deed, the legal description was, it was all encompassing. It encompassed all of those properties, the Washington Mill property as well as lots 1 and 2. So again, I could even dig it up here and share that.
That's okay, Craig. I just assumed that legal would be updated.
Yes, it will.
Curious, it talks about the Geisness Buckley Division of Land, Tract A.
Mm-hmm.
Is that the mill site itself? Because I'm
So,
able to document online.
yeah, so I'm going to share my screen again here. I'm sorry, this is probably irritating you guys. I pulled this up as part of Mr. Stavy's comment, but this is the original plat map for the town of Georgetown.
Yes.
And this property that I'm trying to circle with my very tiny crosshairs is the Washington Mills property. And the 3 existing lots on the south end were carved out of it over time.
Yes, they were portions
I
of
believe
block 43. So that's Christie and Matt and Beth.
Yep. Yeah, it's Christie, Matt and Beth, and then Draxie's house is over here.
Yes.
So over time, those were carved out one at a time is what it appears, which is why the legal description is kind of so wonky. And you can just barely see, kind of Mr. Stavy's point, this line right here, where it looks like lots 1 and 2 may have existed in the original platting.
Yes, it was difficult for me to read as well. You can't really tell which is lot 1 and which is lot 2.
No, you can't, but I'm glad I'm not a surveyor for that reason, but.
I am a surveyor. That's the only reason I was. That was my only question. Thanks, Chris.
And I might add, you mentioned Buckley Geisness. The survey that we had done by Greg Markle when we bought the property originally, our southwest, that's on Main Street, corner stake was right inside Draxie Buckley's porch. And we've run into that in some other property. So we voluntarily donated a 5-foot easement along the side of the Draxi house, the Buckley house, to correct whatever it was. We didn't know why our stake was there. I had no interest in going and sipping wine on her porch. So we just donated that amount of property to her.
Interesting, Marv. I was taking a walk today at lunch and I saw a pin there set by Greg Markle. Is that pin represent the 5-foot easement, or?
Well, it's not an easement, actually. We just donated the property from what we owned to the Buckleys to give them a 5-foot side yard setback to the north. The north side of their house now has a legal 5-foot setback.
Got it. That's what that pin represents.
That's correct.
Yeah, it's interesting. Also, we were talking about the right-of-way of Biddle Street versus the constructed street, if you will. I also noticed some more of Greg Markle's pins, those red plastic caps, up near Lot 8. And it appears that the right-of-way for Biddle is kind of down that slope on that little bench. That's where the pin is located.
Yes, and I would tell you that Biddle Street, to my understanding, and Kent, you'll correct me if I'm saying something wrong here, that Biddle Street at the north side of 10th is on private property, the Capitol Prize. It's no longer a public street. Am I speaking correctly, Kent?
Yeah, it moves off the reservation there and goes into the private property.
Yes, so from 10th Street to 10th and a half, Biddle is private property. There's essentially a dead end. There is a gate that's up there on the Capitol Prize, and that's on the boundary line between the public street and the closed part of Biddle Street.
Interesting. I didn't know that. Was that right away vacated?
Again, Kent, I'll defer to you. The owner of the property thinks that it has been.
I don't know the entire story behind that, but I've been told the story. I just haven't verified it or confirmed it. So
that's why I'm asking you.
Yeah.
No, okay, that's fine. Those are my only comments. Marv, I can see the effort you've put into this, and I like what I see.
Thank you very much.
All right, Jen, do we have anybody else?
The only other thing we had was the written comments from Kathy Hunanen, which I sent to you all. I don't know if Dwayne, if you want to read those or.
Those up here on the screen if you want.
Sure.
Oh yeah, I had that, but I couldn't get to print.
Yeah, I can kind of summarize. Kathy's a environmental scientist, and she had a couple of questions. What was the historical use of the property? Marv, can you speak to that?
To my understanding, like I said before, the only structure that was on the site is it's either L shape or slightly a T, that with most of the longest part of the property ran north to south, and in roughly the very middle of the property, the back door, what we think was the kitchen, would have been very close to the Morel house. There was an area that projected out to Main Street that appeared to have a street level door entrance, and then a peaked roof that with a second floor that was facing Main Street. I don't have proof of this, but what I have been told was that it was basically a place where miners might have stayed, and they certainly ate there in the kitchen. Was there actually milling done? I don't know. I have heard that there could have been some from the Capital Prize mine that was milled there, but there doesn't appear to be any evidence of any equipment. We've actually dug a few times. Actually, a local friend who likes to dig for outhouses and all that. And we cannot find any relics, any artifacts that would have suggested that there was actually a mill on it. And if Gary is still on the line, he would verify that in the old territorial charters, a mill site was a specific thing. And that's why it's called a mill site, not necessarily because there was actually a mill on it. That was true of the Major Anderson as well.
Yeah, and that's, and I've spent a fair amount of time on that property in my lifetime. Sorry, my dog's trying to eat my cat. And if you walk the property, you can. The majority of the property looks to be largely native and undisturbed, except for that one area that Marv was just describing where that potential structure was. So we don't have any knowledge of any production processes or milling that actually took place on the property. Lot 8, the soils of concern there are quite obviously incidental to the operations at the Capital Prize over the years, and not actually for anything that took place on the subject property itself. Yes, we have collected some environmental samples, and we'll be discussing the results of those with our environmental consultant here, hopefully by the end of this week. Says, is there a plan to manage any hazardous waste found on the site? If so, what is it? There's not a specific plan in place at this point. If we find evidence that there may be hazardous waste on the site, or what I would prefer to call impacted soils, because it's not really waste if it's on the property that it was originally used on, then we'll obviously at that stage develop a plan based on specific information that we uncover at the time. Offsite exposure to nearby residents. Again, obviously, if there's any indication of soils of concern, we'll take appropriate measures during the construction. And yeah, that kind of answers the other question on that page as well. So hopefully we should have more information during the preliminary platting stage with our results from our sampling exercise.
All right, do we have anything else to offer? Kathleen, were you wanting to add anything to that, or did that answer all your questions?
No, it answered my questions. And unless other people have questions, I'm ready to make a motion.
Awesome. So can I get a motion to approve the Washington Mill Site subdivision conceptual plan?
I move that we approve it with the conditions that the Colorado Geological Society and the Health Department approve of the solutions to the concerns that they had.
I'll second that.
Awesome. All in favor? Say aye.
Aye.
Okay.
Did we need somebody else to make the second? Or
The second was made.
Kathleen made the motion, and then the second is made by who?
Me. I can
who's-
second it.
That's fine.
Okay, thank you, Denise.
You're welcome.
All right, thanks, guys.
Thank you all. And,
Want to call the vote?
oh, sorry.
All in favor, sorry, go ahead.
You need to call the question.
Call,
You did.
Did you?
We all voted.
Okay.
we all voted, we did the, all in favor, say aye. Am I missing something? I tend to do that.
No,
so.
I get confused looking for the second.
Oh, sorry. We got the second and we did
Yeah.
all in favor. So it's that part of it's moving on to the next phase. Thanks, Marvin, Craig. You got something, Kent?
Well, Kathleen mentioned in her motion the comments from the Colorado Geological Survey and also the CDPHE. But the town staff, I mean, Martin had listed a number of other smaller things. And I know Craig and Marv are going to address that with the preliminary plat anyway. But there was, within the staff report, there was several other minor items to make sure that they were part of the next application. So I just wanted to state it here because the only things that you said, Kathleen, was regarding the CGS and CDPHE. And too many acronyms in the acronym soup. But then there was several other small things, and we hit on a couple of them tonight that they'll be part of the preliminary plat application. So,
And on behalf of the applicant, we concur that we're aware of those items identified by staff, and they will be part of the preliminary plat application.
okay.
And I just had one question regarding the name. Because on the application, it was Washington Mill Site subdivision. So just moving forward, you're saying that you want it referred to as the Washington Mills?
I'll clarify that with Martin.
Okay.
On the appropriate way to do that, and either he or I will let you know.
Great, thanks.
Thank you all for your time and volunteering to do fun stuff like this.
Yeah. It's definitely a learning process.
Yes, thank you for your considerations. Appreciate it.
The next step comes back to you guys again at the preliminary plat application. It'll come back to the planning commission first. And then
Gotcha. What kind
it's
of
a
time?
recommendation that goes to the board of selectmen. So
Gotcha. What kind of time frame is that? Is it, I mean, obviously it's equal as important. Does that come around pretty quick then?
it depends on how many of the questions we get answered. Regarding, and Craig was mentioning, they're getting the soil samples back, they're getting some other information back. They want to proceed as quickly as possible, but we want to make sure we get, because the preliminary plat's kind of like the meat of this whole thing. The conceptual is, okay, is it a good idea, not a good idea? What are some things that are brought up that we need to look at and make sure are addressed? The preliminary plat's kind of like the meat. And then the final plat after that is really just drawing lines on the map and making sure there's any conditions that are included on the plat notes for the final plat. But that's done all by the Board of Selectmen. So once the preliminary plat is done, you guys are pretty much done with the process as far as the Planning Commission.
Gotcha.
So, is that correct, Martin? I'm not speaking out of.
Yes, that's a really good way to state it. It is, the preliminary plat is the meat of this process, and the applicant Craig and his folks have been doing a great job with assisting and making sure that they're going to dot all the I's and cross all the T's. So we're looking forward to their submittal.
Forthcoming.
All right.
Thank you all.
Thanks.
Thanks, guys.
Thank you.
Good night.
Good night.
Right.
Good night, Dwayne. Good night, Denise. Good night.
Good night.
Good night.
Good night, Ed.
Good night.
Everybody
Wait.
be safe.
Are we gonna approve the minutes?
Yeah.
Yeah,
Or-
okay.
Yeah, I caught that one.
I motion to approve the minutes from October
What about that?
21st, 2020.
I second it. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Aye. And let's adjourn this meeting. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Bye-bye, everybody.
Bye-bye.
Good night.
Take care.
There you go.